So in professional photography, we have a bunch of different brands around lighting. So the system is very similar all across, but I think Godox is definitely one of the cheaper options that you can go for, and also one of the most reliable companies out there that professional photographers can rely on. I know personally, I've been using Godox, off-camera flashes, for example, the 80, 200, 300s. I've been using them for the last 7-8 years, and they've been doing really well. So these triggers actually look something like this. They sit on top of your camera's hot shoe mount. Once you connect within, you can lock them. The specific model that I have here is the XPROII S. This is slightly better than the XPROII S. So the first thing you want to do is take this remote controller and put it in your hot shoe mount of your camera. This is critical because this will allow your camera to sync with the flash basically. So every time you're clicking on your trigger and taking a picture, the flash will go off as long as this is on. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to turn this on first of all. So there's a quick little on button, pretty straightforward. And there's a button for off and on. I believe that's for the bulb. Every single time you for example, you click something here, the light will turn on, and depending on your settings, the light will turn off to preserve some battery. So the channel number, if you've just bought your remote controller, it might be set to 1 or 31, but you want to make sure that your strobe, whatever channel that is on, for example, if it's on 10, 11, 12, or whatever that number is between 1 and 31, you want to make sure it's the same number on here. You can actually change that by going into menu and then clicking on this button here, and then basically the first one that comes up is CH, that's for channel, and then you can scroll to find your right channel, click on your one, and then go back, and then go back one more time, and then hit menu. That's basically it. And then you come back to the home screen with your new channel number now. And then at the top, we're just going to talk about the second item, that is the Bluetooth. You don't need Bluetooth, but on this specific model, the XPROII S or the XPROII, for example, so you get Bluetooth connectivity where you can connect this trigger to your smartphone, for example, and control these settings from there, which I find a bit tedious. If I can just control it all on here, why do I need to control it from my phone? And then lastly, we have our battery indicator. This does take AA batteries, so it'll show you how much battery you've left. Next thing I want to talk about is groups. So all of your lights, all of your Godox lights, or even ProPhoto lights, for example, they'll have groups, so you can kind of talk to different lights in different settings. Now you can have multiple lights with the same group number or the group name. That definitely doable because, for example, you have 3 or 4 strobes across a hall and you want to make sure that they're on the same setting at all times. You don't need to do A, B, C, and D for them. You can just have them all in group A. But really important to know is that your strobes also need to be on the same group name. So if this strobe is for A, then I want to make sure that my settings are good for A. I can't be on B on here and A is off, so that'll basically not work. You might be pressing your flash, trying to trigger it, but there's nothing happening. You're taking pictures, there's no light coming out of your flashes. That's probably because your group number is not the same. So you want to make sure your group names on each of your strobes is the same on here, and then you can come basically here and control these things. So you have A, B, C, D, and E. On the left, we have 5 buttons here. That's basically A, B, C, D, and D. Those are selectors. On the previous models, you'd have to press group again and again to come to the right one. Now they've made it so easy for you that you can basically do A, B, C, D, and E. Select your proper group, and then if you click on mode, you can go through 3 modes. One is off, which is basically just blank 2 lines. And then you have TTL, which is through the lens. This basically allows your strobe to kind of read your lens, what you're shooting with. And it will basically take care of your lighting on its own without you having to tell it, I need this much light or that much light. It'll work with your ISO, shutter speed, those kind of things, and figure out, this is how much light I should produce. I really don't go with this because, half the times my strobe isn't as smart as I am. So I'll definitely need to give it some advice or control my own lighting. It's especially better to shoot in manual mode on your camera so you know what's going on. And the same thing on here. You want to shoot on manual mode. So you tell it how much power you need. So for example, if you're taking group shots where all the lighting is going to be the same, tell it I need this much power, and it'll basically take control of that. So how do you control that power, you must say? So in any kind of strobe lights, it kind of works like shutter speed, for example, or aperture, where you have a 1 over something. And so if you want full power out of your strobes, it'll basically be 1 over 1, which is basically 1. And then if you want half power, 1 over 2, 1 over 4, 1 over 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, etc. So basically you're able to decrement how much light you want, and that's how you're able to control how much light is being produced. And you can basically do that with this, dial here on the bottom. So pretty straightforward. You change your settings and then you click set and you're good to go. So the next thing I want to talk about is we may see the flash button on the bottom left. So this basically is just to check if your lights are connected. So if you just want to do like a test run, just press this button, you'll see whichever flashes turn on. Sometimes you may not be able to tell which flash just went off and which one didn't. So better to kind of face your camera in a certain direction, take a picture and look in the picture if that flash has particularly gone off or not. So that's just the way I check things, but that's about it. That's like the basic how-to guide for this Godox remote trigger XPROII. You on the side you do have a USB-C port that you can use for upgrading your firmwares and stuff. I really like using these because they're not so big on the size, and I can control, for example, 5 lights differently. Well, they can be much more than 5, but if 5 groups, so I can use them in here. Really easy to use. I have no complaints. The XPROII was just as good as just like a few other things like Bluetooth, and the hot shoe mount lock was a little bit different. So that's about it. If you guys have any other questions, please free to link them down below. And yeah, I can definitely answer you guys' questions and try to help you as much as possible, because I have been using this extensively for the last, so many years in different forms. So this is basically, if you guys have any other questions, again, comment them down below. And if you guys like this video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.